Good evening, everybody. Another Monday night with bees all day. Um, Clay and I were talking about the weather a while ago, and just real quick, I made a comment in here before we got started about Nobby this year. So I want to show you something real quick. What I'm seeing with the future cast for the week for January 7th through the end of that week. So hang on, I'll put it up here real quick. There's your weather map. That's Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky. Major storm from the 7th through the end of the week. So plan your trip accordingly. So we might talk about that a little bit later. So how's everybody's week been? Hope everybody's been doing well. It's been a cold week. We were supposed to have a couple warm days. We did have one, but it is just cold. And the link is pinned to the top if you're interested in coming in here talking. So I know Clay's in here. I saw Pennsylvania earlier. There's Mike from Vermont. Jonathan's in here. You don't believe what? The weather forecast? Well, it's within 7 days. There's Dennis. DC's in here. Keith's in here too somewhere. Dodd House is in here. Barnhill's in here. Let's see. Who else there's Highland. How are you tonight? That's it for right now. Says we got 38 watching. So Clay, eventually you got to believe it one way or another. Hey, Tar Heel. Randy's in here. Here comes the man, the myth, the legend, Sawmill Charlie.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the screen that I just put up, but here's the 1 week out forecast map, Charlie. I'll show you again.
Hopefully it's good.
Wait till you see it. There it is.
And what does that represent?
The pink in Virginia, North Carolina, and out on the eastern shore is ice. The blue is snow. And the purple over Kentucky is snow. Heavy snow. So, yeah. That's not going to be fun. Not going to be fun at all.
Well, it says here, let's see, the 6th. This is Tuesday when I leave. It'll be 36 degrees, cloudy with seems like to me 5% possibility of precipitation and temperature feels like clouds or I don't know. Just have to wait and get there.
Yeah. I mean,
I sit there and I look at all that stuff and you get all wound up and you get all stressed out and you you deal with it the way you best you can.
Yeah, exactly. But
I would like to go out. I'm not crazy about going through the mountains, but it's more the most direct route for me. But on the
yeah,
other hand, maybe it's if I'm meeting Robert up at 81 and 70, maybe we'd got to go down 81 to Knoxville and then up straight up that way to get around the mountains area.
or go across 64.
Like you're still in the mountains,
Yeah, but that's a straight shot, and it's not so bad. I don't think I'm going straight across 64 this year again.
which takes you to Charleston, right?
It actually goes through Charleston and where you come out to the Kentucky West Virginia line is just below Parkersburg.
Let me see if I can get.
No, there's Mr. Rob.
Charlie, you ain't asking my permission on any of that stuff yet. Now I know why your girlfriend don't want to go. Oh, she ain't got to say anything. Oh my! So I'm just messing with you. Hey, Bill, on your packages, do you want them all on the same date, or you want them broke over 2 dates?
I'm starting to get orders for the 12th, that wet week of April.
Okay. So
I want to see how many I get total
yeah.
for the March delivery, and then I'm going to start advertising the 12th as well. So I may end up getting a couple of hundred packages.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm updating my orders right now, and they're adding up. I still got at least a dozen more orders to put in the system. I haven't sent out any emails. This is just what's come in through the website. 741.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at mine yet. I'm late doing mine this year too, but I know I've got orders sitting in there for bees.
Yeah. So I talked to Will, and I'm thinking we're going to have to try to pick up another 500 packages, or I'm going to be out early. So, but that put me at 2,500 for the year.
That's a good thing, though, right?
That's a good thing. Yeah, it's a real good thing. So,
All right, Robert, while I got you on here, I was looking at the map, and you were saying the truck stop, you go over 70, go over Interstate 81, and then you get on Route 63, I believe it is.
Yeah,
is it like a little teeny truck stop, like a convenience store or something?
Yes, that's correct.
And you're okay. You're going to be okay parking your car or truck there, right?
I think so. Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to get it towed away. I'm concerned though they would tow it out or whatever.
Yeah. If not, Charlie, we could actually probably park it right there at the shopping center. I think if I go on the east side of 81, isn't there like a huge shopping center there? It has like
I'm not familiar with the area except going through Interstate 70.
Okay. All right. I'll look at it on a map and touch base with you. But if we do that, I could park out, in Timbuktu in a shopping center, and I can't imagine it'll be any issue there. But there's got to, if not, there's got to be a park and ride or something there handy that I could park at, but we can touch base a little closer.
Now are you saying you're right in round 81 where I was answering text there, right around 81?
Yeah, 81 and 70, right in that, because you're coming across. Yeah, let me pull something up. Look.
Well, what I'm getting at is there's a multitude of truck stops around there.
Yeah,
there's one right off of 81, off the next if I'm going north from Route 70, the next exit there's a Flying J or something else over there on the left. Is that right? There's a Flying J.
Yeah, there's a Flying J there. I went past it today.
All right, what am I going to say?
What are you doing up this way, Bill?
Oh, I went and picked up stuff in Newell for Nobby.
I see. Well, you should have called me. We could have went to lunch.
Well,
I was 5 minutes from you.
I had the wife with me today, and we were running a little late, so maybe next time.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work.
Because I'm sure I'm going to be up there within 2 weeks after Nobby. I'll be up that way.
Okay. That's good. Oh, Sally, you.
Hey, Joey, good to see you in here tonight.
Charlie, there's it's called a Regal Valley Mall. That's the next exit north. So if you go 70 to 81, as soon as you get on 81 north, you're not going to go but a stone's throw and get right back off.
I mean, I'd be the first interchange, I think it is.
Yeah.
JT.
Yeah. And I could park at the mall. That wouldn't be a problem. We just park out on the outer skirts there.
Yeah, I'm just concerned for you.
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
Yeah.
So you get on 81.
Yep. You're gonna, 81 north. You're going to go probably.
Valley Mall.
It's right there. It'll be on the east side of 81. So just about as soon as you get off the ramp, you're going to almost see the Valley Mall, and then you're going to get right off that next exit. And then as soon as you come off the ramp, the Valley Mall is right there.
The exit 5A, it looks like to me.
That would be. Yes, that's correct.
I think that would be better for you. I mean,
yeah,
that's my opinion of it. I was just getting concerned about, them stores like, well, why is it sitting there for 5 days? Let's get it towed type of thing.
Yeah.
Robert, are you looking for a place to park your truck?
Well, it's we're thinking. Just, if I'm hooking up with Charlie there on that Tuesday through Sunday, that's not far out of the way for Charlie. And, but that mall, I can't think you could sit at the mall. Nobody would even know if that truck's been there. Yeah, I think you're good.
Well, which way are y'all going to go? Like you normally go, Charlie?
I presume.
Yeah, that'd be weather dependent, right, Charlie?
That's what I'm looking up now.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, you know where I live. If you decide to come down 81 further, he can park his truck at my house.
Yeah, we could do that too. Or park it at the B shop. Is that okay?
Yeah, or park it there at the store.
At the store.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like to me, instead of us going, like I'm looking up your way of doing it, Bill, where if we go down 81 and get on 64 at Lexington, and that takes us over to Beckley, to Charleston, to Hurricane, Huntington. Well, once we get to Huntington, that's where we're out of Kentucky or out of the mountains and and all that. So I'm wondering, I mean, if you look at the map wise, from going from that point to where we're coming in from Morgantown, that's a lot of less mountains we have to do.
It is. Now, I will say this. It's toll road across there, but when you go across it in your van, I think it's $10 total.
I don't give a shit about that.
All right, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I know. I've been up there years ago. I went up to the
Yep.
Beckley there and took a in that what do you call it? Tourism coal mine.
Yep, and it's all good road. It's the interstate's in good shape.
Well, when we came home last year early because of the ice storm and whatever was pending from Kentucky, we got up there around where Sandy from Icy Mountain Honey, and sure was Icy Mountain up through there. It was about 4 inches of snow on the ground. And you had to go from Morgantown all the way out to Frostburg until you finally got out of it. And then after that, things were sunny and bright and pretty.
Yeah. And now when we left that morning to come back, that Sunday morning,
Yeah.
it was just starting to spit snow in Louisville.
What time of day was that? 5 or 6?
6 a.m. And we left, and I'm just straight across Kentucky, straight across West Virginia. We never saw any snow, period, until we got to Lexington,
Kentucky.
Virginia. And then it was very little. It was really light. And then when we turned north, we ran out of it.
Where's Lexington, Virginia at? Oh, I see off of 81. I see it now.
Yeah.
Right
It's-
there.
Lexington, Virginia is right there at the intersection of 64 and 81.
Mm.
That's where VMI is at.
Yeah. From Hagerstown to Louisville, it's 9 hours, it says. So let's say 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost about the same.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't have to go up through the mountains of Maryland and down through West Virginia and all them mountains. And then, like you say, the distance. I mean, there now I've been across 64. There's some mountains there. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, but it's short. I look at it like this. It's short-lived. Now, the very first year going to Nobby, we went all the way down into Tennessee. And from the time you get out of Roanoke, Virginia, going south, you're in mountains until you get just past Knoxville.
And then how did you get up to Louisville? 75?
Yeah, we went across to Nashville and went up 65.
Well, you went to Nashville.
Yeah.
You went up to 65. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Knoxville takes you up to Lexington. Or Knoxville, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like the idea that I'm used to 81, nice and flat.
Yeah.
I mean,
And of course, Rob, you're welcome to park your truck at my shop or
Yeah.
at the house, either one.
Sounds good.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know whether if that's the case, I wouldn't go to Hagerstown. I'd just go down to your shop, which takes about 3 hours to get there, though. From my
Yeah.
house.
And from my shop to Nobby, if GPS time,
Well, what
Says-
does it take you to get there?
well,
I met you at Charleston. You were at the same exit. We were
yeah.
same time, but I don't know what time you left.
I left late that morning. So I left at, I don't know, 8 o'clock that morning.
That's pretty late.
Yeah.
And we left at 5:30.
Yeah.
It might be better. It might be better off, Charlie. I just come to your place.
Come to my house.
Mm-hmm. That might be quicker for me just to come to your house and then just ride with you down through. Me down to Bill's place, probably 3 hours.
It's 3 hours to where I mean, I've drove it multiple times this past year. It takes me 3 hours to get to Woodstock.
Yeah, from Charlie's house.
Right.
But if you're coming down 81 from Newville to my doorstep at the store is right about 2 hours.
All right. That's about the same then. I'd probably 2 hours of truck.
Probably about an hour and a half or more to get to my house. You're better off going to Bill's then. If we were deciding to meet up there.
Yeah. All right. We'll look Saturday or Sunday and see how things are progressing.
See how the
Make a plan.
Yeah. Just if you're going to have a trailer, Rob.
I'm kind of half a notion to go ahead and do the 81 route and check that out versus the other route that I've been on. Because once you get over the cut over there on 68, it's up and down. Well, Maryland ain't so bad. Once you get into West Virginia, you're just constantly mountains.
Yeah, and they're pretty good mountains too.
Yeah, they are. So maybe it might be us, if you think I can meet you at 80. I mean, I don't know, whatever you want to do. If I can meet you either at 81 and 70, or I can just go and meet you down at Bill's place.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you going to have a trailer?
Me? No.
Yeah. All right.
Just a pickup truck.
Then just back up in front of the store. And if you're going to have a trailer, just back down by the loading dock.
Okay.
Now you got 2 buckets of honey, right?
Well, that's up to 6, I think.
6? Do I have to bring my truck down?
No. I think you're fine. You got room in there for 6 buckets of honey.
I'm just thinking about I've been thinking about making a box system like I had for my pickup truck.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I'll have the good lids on that can't pop off, so we'll be all right.
I know, but I like to secure things.
Yeah. So, but guess who I spoke on the phone with again today for 55 minutes?
Damn.
Crazy, isn't it?
He must like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you what, it was funny. Did you know? Well, I guarantee you didn't know this, but I read this and I asked him about it. He spoke probably 10 or 15 minutes about this, but he had a pet raccoon growing up. Here we're thinking he's this educated guy, which he is, but he grew up kind of a little hillbilly, and but had a pet raccoon for several years, so it got ran over. And but yeah, it was interesting. I know how he met his wife and all this other stuff. He has 3 older brothers. He was an Eagle Scout, I think, 15 years old. And get this, he never got the beekeeping merit badge. He didn't even know it existed. So that would be, I spoke with, name just jumped off my tongue. Tom, help me out. Yeah, Tom Seeley today. I spoke to him for 55 minutes, and then he had to take his dog out for a walk. He said, "Call me back later." I said, "Nah, Tom, go take your dog for a walk. I'll catch you here in a week or two, and we'll chat some more when I read up some more dirt on you." He laughed. But yeah, just had a great time talking to him, but yeah, it's good. He's more down to earth than you think. But
he's just to me, he's just another guy that he did schoolwork for a living.
Yeah. I told him, I said, "I'm a dumb bunny." He goes, "I don't think you are." And I said, "Well, I can tell you this, Tom. When I read in the one paper that you applied to an Ivy League school, I didn't even know what an Ivy League school was. So I Googled it, and there's, I think, six or 8 in the whole nation. They're all in the New England states. And you have to be like someone to get into the Ivy League school, and I'm sure they're not cheap, but you have to have some backing, and you have to have way above, good grades. And he actually went to Dartmouth and graduated. And then from Dartmouth, he went to um, uh, starts with an H, Harvard, and graduated from Harvard. And then it went to Cornell, which is also an Ivy League school, and he worked there. And I said, so don't sit here and tell me that you're a dummy. You ain't no dummy. I said, you're pretty up there. I said, I only got about 4 merit badges. And we laughed. It was good. It was so yeah, kind of building quite the friendship there with Tom. So I'm
Yeah.
enjoying.
That's good.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I like him.
So yeah, I kind of like this way of going down 81 and around. It cuts out a lot of mountain driving.
Yeah,
Well, if we go that way, Charlie, we're gonna have to stop at Fire Mountain for lunch. You know that.
I don't know where Fire Mountain's at.
Oh, Charlie, Bill, have you ever been there?
No.
It is like the grandest buffet bar you have ever been to, dude. It is unbelievable. Yeah, if you don't come out of there 25 pounds heavier, there is a problem. It is insane. I've never seen anything like it. My brother used to live down there, and every time we make a bee run, it is, unless we're coming back at wee hours of the morning, it is on the agenda to stop there for either lunch
That's
or
in
supper.
North Carolina.
No, it's actually just not far from you. It's down at Harrisonburg, Virginia. And it's only like 5 minutes off the highway. I think it's all you can eat. It's steak and shrimp on the buffet bar for like $16. Includes your drink and desserts. It's huge. It's unbelievable. Every guy I've ever taken in there, it's their first reaction as soon as I walk in there, like, oh my God, I got to take a video of this and send my wife.
Oh yeah, High Knob Fire Tower. Yeah.
Yeah. It is crazy. But
we maybe do that coming back. That's not
yeah. Yep. But yeah, you'll appreciate that place.
Yeah. Supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of going this way. We get rid of all that Interstate 79 and all that stuff in 68. You're kind of down, and then you kind of go over. It's more of a straight shot. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I mean, where would I pick you up at? You would meet me at Bill's and drop the truck there?
Yeah, at Bill's.
All right.
Yeah.
7:30, 8:30.
We'd be going by the all the way across, then right through Princeton, and I know that area pretty good. That's where my in-laws used to have a place there. But Charlie, we're not stopping at the girly bar there in Princeton.
I don't know about that.
What do they call Southern Pleasures or something? I think it's called. It's like the highest. It's the highest point in Princeton. When you come through, it just sets up on the side of the mountain. You can't miss it.
Yeah. Well, that was about like my cousin. He was truck driving for a while, and he went to this sawmill, and I forget what state it was. It might have been Pennsylvania, and it was up in the mountains, something terrible. And you made a left-hand turn and you went down. He said, I hope I can get out of this hole with this tractor trailer, and got back in there. And here's this sawmill where I think they had pressure treated materials and stuff there. And he said, how about me getting out? He says, don't stop. He said, just get up the hill and get out. And he says, what's the deal with the pink house across the road from the driveway of this place? He said, well, that's the cat house.
Yeah, I'm leaving at 5 a.m. on Monday.
On Monday?
Yep.
Why are you getting out there early? I mean, that early, I guess you would say.
I sent an email to Chris to see if I could unload Tuesday and just set everything in my booth area. That way I don't have to fight for dock space on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
And where are you staying at?
The Hampton Inn.
Is that south of where the Cracker Barrel is there or someplace or where?
You know where the main gate is?
Yeah.
I'm just outside the main gate.
On gate number 1.
Yep.
I always like the Hampton Inn a little bit better than the Hilton. I was just doing. I mean, the Hampton and the Hilton are all the same
Yeah.
bunch, as far as I know.
Yeah,
Same-
they're all owned. The Hampton Inn's owned by Hilton.
right.
Yeah.
I always stayed there because I liked it away from the airport,
Yeah.
and it's right there at gate 4. Should
Yeah.
be wide open.
Yep.
So you got 6 buckets, you say?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me have to see about figuring out how we're going to do that.
Tape them together. Duct tape them like Joseph said. Joey said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We'll
they'll
get-
support each other.
we'll get them in there.
That way they won't turn over as easy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking about making a box for them to sit them in.
Yeah.
Because I'm not taking anything, I don't have boxes like I did what I got from you last year.
Yeah. Wait, what are you bringing back, Charlie, with you?
Well, not much that I know of.
Okay, because I have some global patties to bring back, and
How many global patties you bringing back?
I don't know, 6 cases, maybe 8. I don't remember. Like,
No.
and some trinkets, a couple trinkets, not a lot.
You're talking about 10-pound boxes,
No, the 40-pound boxes,
6 of them.
something like that. Yeah, those can just lay flat on the floor.
Yeah. If anything, if that's the case, maybe I'll have to
If
see
it's
what
snowing, Charlie, you can strap them to the hood and give you extra traction.
well, I have to say one thing. There's a
Don't give me my ideas, Bill. He'll be cutting the box over and throw them on the ground so I can drive across. We get on ice.
there's a button on my thing that says snow, and I don't know what it does, but it seems to give better traction of some sort. I hope we don't see any snow.
That'd be good. You know what I did see on the internet the other day that amazed me? We might see that going across there, but someone posted a picture of 2 huge bull elk, and it is right there as you come out of West Virginia and cross into Kentucky. Apparently, they
Yep.
have elk there, and
Yeah.
it was an interstate. These elk came up over some big long ridge, jumped the fence, come across the interstate, and then jumped the fence and was headed up the ridge on the other side. So
Yep.
we might see some elk.
You might
Shoot.
take your rifle with you.
I got Charlie. I just haven't run him down. You heard what he said. He ain't got room. Could you imagine trying to strap an elk down in the van?
We ain't going there.
You have to strap that to the roof.
Not with my new car. That's for sure.
Oh my! I didn't know you were taking the new one.
That's the only thing I got. I got that truck.
Gotcha.
I'm taking a box truck this year and renting a car when we get down there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Are they going to drive the car to your hotel for you?
There's a shuttle from the hotel to the airport. So the wife's going to take the shuttle over and get the car and bring it back to the hotel. All these people staying at the Crown Plaza. Thumbs down on the Crown. You're right. Too expensive.
How much is it?
It's for what you and I are paying. I guarantee you that. No, I'm not renting an Audi R8, Tom.
He can't fit in there.
The wife is renting a Mazda ZX5.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a SUV. I'm not renting it. If I was going to rent anything, Tom, it would be a Corvette. If it were up to me. Boring. Yeah. What I'm not getting into that one, Tom. I'm not touching it. I can't get in the R8 either, Tom.
Dodd, he was the one. He must have was there the first year they had the big fire alarm and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, he probably pulled it.
Yeah. The
Paul's
new
gonna
caddy's
stay-
nice.
He's going to stay. He's going to be down on the south side of the airport.
Yeah, we can get out on the runway, Tom, and drag race.
Oh.
So, Dodd, where are you staying at then? If you're not at the Crown, that had been already occupied. Really? I'll just stay at the Hilton.
I imagine both of us would be in the lockup, Tom. Wouldn't have to worry about who's the slowest one in.
Well, when we get out there, Bill, we'll give you a buzz and then we'll get together for supper or something.
Yeah. We can do that. We can definitely do that. We can go to Cracker Barrel, your favorite place.
Oh, it ain't my favorite. It just happens to be next door to where I stay.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that. I don't know why, but
Not a bad choice, Charlie. Don't get offended. That's not one of my top on my list.
you like it or don't? You do?
Oh, I do.
Yeah,
They,
I like
that,
it.
they offended me.
They changed the menu.
Well, they did a while back. They took catfish off, and that's what I order every time I go there. Now they put it back on. But yeah.
What you got there, Charlie?
I'm just looking at my papers and stuff. Just making sure the room is suitable for us, and it's good.
Just make sure it's got 2 beds.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's got 2 queens. That's what I was just checking. I just have something I got to do this weekend is get all my paperwork in my folder for everybody, make sure I got everything, put it in the suitcase, get the suitcase all lined up. Well,
Phil, I got the perfect room for you. It's a studio. It's 24 feet long, 8.5 feet wide, with a 101-inch ceiling. It'll make you feel like a big man in there.
who?
Phil, he hadn't reserved a room yet. And I told him I got a studio for him.
Oh,
The only problem is you got to find a bathroom and there's no running water.
Well, it's probably one down the hall.
What hall? It's the back of my box truck.
Oh. Oh, brother.
Yep, the back of my box truck, Phil.
What a nice guy.
I'll even throw a cot in the back of it for you. Bring plenty of blankets.
Trying to find someone to pay for it, to pay for the truck.
Yeah, there you go. So anybody that's on here, if I have room in the back of my truck, if you want stuff brought back this far into Virginia, let me know and I'll be glad to load it up and bring it back for you.
That'd be good. You're coming back Sunday morning, Bill.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Yep.
Paul, he's out at the Watergate Hotel.
No, I'm not going west, DC. I'm headed east.
DC, did you get your plane tickets and everything straightened out?
If it had a shower, I'm not afraid to camp. You can create a shower in the bathroom.
Well, anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But I think after looking at it, I'd like to try that 80. I like to try the 81 route.
I mean, it's all good road. I mean,
81's nice and flat, and you can get halfway there, I'll say. That's relatively flat. You've got flat, hilly, and then flat.
Yep.
As soon as you get out of West Virginia, that turns flat. Everything's flat.
You're right. It does. You're exactly right.
I like flat.
Yep.
You go out of West Virginia, you go up the northern panhandle out towards Ohio, and that's nice and flat out through there, but you don't know whether it's snowing and blowing and whatever.
Yep.
All right, well, that sounds so. You got 6 buckets. All right, I'll see what I can do there.
Okay.
See if I can make.
If you don't want to take them with you, Charlie, leave them sitting there in the store.
Oh, right.
6 buckets of honey at Nobby.
I got someone, believe it or not, someone from Western PA is going to meet me there and get them. And I'm like, if you just wait a couple weeks, a month or two, I'll be out there for the Western Conference. But they wanted to meet me at Nobby and pick it up there. I'm like, okay.
Hey, whatever.
Beekeepers, they're simple. They're easy to work with.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem hauling them. I just like things like that secured.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like Melissa and Tom, where the darn 5-gallon bucket turns over and explodes into my car.
Or the lid pops off and then turns over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I had a couple buckets here from a friend of mine, and they're not 90 millimeter. They're pickle
70s.
buckets or some dumb crap, and I'm hauling them up with a hand truck, and they're starting to weep out because they don't have the snap. It's like one old guy at the bee club. Well, just cut them things. I says, no, John, I don't want to do that. I want to be able to pound them things in there, and they're locked in.
Yeah.
And I said, that's why I have a bucket snapper.
Yeah, an opener. Yep. So I got 24 hours left on my creamed honey, Rob.
Well, I ran mine for 99 hours. So so I ran it for 99 hours on my standard. And then I mixed up a batch of cinnamon. So I did 30 pounds of cinnamon, cleaned that out. And then I did 26 pounds of jalapeno.
Yeah, so I did 60 pounds of straight creamed honey and put it in a creamer. I'm running it 96 hours and I got a little less than 24 hours to go on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got mine all sitting in the bottles right now, and they're getting there. If you lean them over on their side, it's almost like a slow molasses. They're almost set up. By
Yeah.
next week, to the farm shows here, they're ready to go, which is good.
Yeah.
You got
So-
that straightened out?
I do. Yep, I got someone going to run that route for me. So
Mm-hmm.
that should be $5,000. They sell it all.
Yeah, and then once I do this one, I'll immediately start a cinnamon roll.
Your cinnamon. What did you say you put in that? Nutmeg, cinnamon.
Nutmeg, cinnamon, vanilla, and I can add a raisin flavoring if I want to. So, but it's nutmeg, cinnamon, and vanilla.
You'll have to bring one of those for me. I'll swap you for a one of my just regular cinnamon. Do a taste test swap.
I don't think it'll be done by the time I leave for Nobby.
Well, maybe I can get it off of you when we get back.
Okay.
That'll be a week later.
Yeah, it'll be done creaming.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Hey, Tom.
Hopefully, it's not set up in the creamer when we get back. God, that would be my luck too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Junior. Yes, it's set up. It runs every 15 minutes. The creamer does.
Yeah.
So many days or whatever, depending on what brand you buy. I presume I don't have one.
Yeah.
Well, you can program the intervals. So you want it to run 15 minutes every hour. You want it to run 15 minutes, cut off for 45, and run 15 minutes. And you want to cream it for anywhere from 96 to 99 hours. Rob does his 99, I run my 96.
Yeah.
And you need seed honey. And I found that the best combination of seed and liquid honey is 10%.
That's what I run.
Yeah.
Buying that company everybody buys from.
Cox.
Cox, yeah. That is the best seed honey around. I'm going to try make some seed honey of my own.
All right, well, that's good. I'm glad we kind of got our plans figured out.
Yeah.
Like I say, I kind of like the idea of 81 now. And then you can park at Bill's place. All you got to do is get off the interstate and make a left and go down the hill past McDonald's and to the red light and go straight across the road and then go up just I don't know what, 100 feet up the hill.
Yeah.
Make a left, and that's his place.
Yeah, Rob was there last.
That's right. Yeah, he knows.
spring.
He dropped off some bees or something or another.
Yeah.
He knows that.
Yeah. Yeah. If I go and drop my truck there empty, maybe I can load it up before Bill gets back.
You got to get in the store first.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
So Uncle Junior adding more seed does not make it go faster.
No.
You still have to create that crystal.
Yeah, Uncle Junior, you can ask Melissa about that mortars and pestle, and it ain't going to work for you too well.
It ain't going to work.
You're going to have to do that heating process. I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to bring it up to about 100, between 100 and 105 degrees, and then cool it slowly. Mark, the seed is important because that seed is a very, very, very fine crystal. And you want your honey to match the size of the crystal of the seed honey. You want it as fine as you can get it. And the finest that I've found is Cox from out of Idaho. And I believe Rob would agree with me that it's about the finest seed honey you're going to get around.
And you heat your honey with the dice method, it's called.
Yeah. You heat it up between 95, I think it's 95 and 100, Rob.
I run mine up to 140, and as soon as I get 140, I run cold water through my through the machine, because it's a jacketed machine, and then that chills it fast and brings that temperature down. You can run it on 140 for 15 minutes. Any longer than that, it'll pasteurize it. But as soon as it hits 140, you gotta cool it quick. So, but that'll dissolve all the crystals, and so the 90% should have absolutely no crystals in it at that point. So when you cool it down, I think it's between 70 and 80 degrees, Bill. We add the seed in, and at that point, once it wants to crystallize, it actually adopts the crystal size of the seed that you put in it, and then all of it becomes that size crystals, which will make it almost like you're eating vanilla pudding. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, when our Junior, all creamed honey is seed honey. Well, once you make your first batch, you save a certain amount of it, and then you can keep adding the honey to it, and then you perpetuate the process. You're just not using all of it out of that creamer.
Yeah.
But you still got to heat, the way I understand it, you still got to heat up what you add to it.
Yes, you do.
Correct.
That's why I made 60 pounds of straight creamed honey. So I'd have some seed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of like sourdough, DC. You take that idea, and because you make seed dough with sourdough to create more sourdough bread, it's the same idea, just a little bit different process. Yeah, starter. That's right, DC. They call it starter. So, the topic that I was going to talk about tonight was queen management practices. I mean, we can talk about it.
That sounds great to me. You got a guy.
I've been doing a lot of reading.
Fair about
in the past couple weeks since I watched Benny's numbers. A lot of reading, a lot of research. I found a whole lot of information on queen management other than spring splits, that kind of stuff. That and things that affect the queen throughout the year if she's not managed correctly previous. So, I mean, let's start off with the easiest part of the topic. The queen's fat body conditioning. You ever heard of that, Rob?
Yes.
It has to do with the liver, which is the immune organ. That should be completely developed in the spring before your peak laying begins. Entering the late winter with a protein deficit, you end up with queens the following spring that'll lay normally for 3 to 6 weeks. And then they show an early brood pattern breakdown in May or June. I've seen this happen more than once. So why does it matter? The ovary degeneration is nutritional, not genetic. And that is your main cause in a lot of early failing queens. So what do we do to prevent that? We feed high quality, amino balanced protein 6 to 8 weeks before the expected spring buildup, i.e., February, late January, February. You need to avoid the cheap, soy heavy patties. They lack the isoleucine, and methionine. And those two compounds are critical for your ovary longevity in the queen. Your target patties have a greater than 20% crude protein and a diverse pollen source. So that's just touching into this. And you need to do your research. And there's a lot of research out here. And I'm sure, Rob, you've read a lot of it too. And so what's your take on what I just read off?
Well, now what's the doughy pollen patties? Which ones are out there you comparing, or what are they talking about?
The soy heavy patties.
Well,
the ingredients are listed on the boxes. You need to make sure you read those ingredients, and anything that's soy heavy, you want to avoid it. And typically those are really, really cheap knockoff patties.
Yeah, it's kind of like eating steak versus, what do you call it, fondue. What's the artificial stuff they call?
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah,
they make a fake hamburger or something out of it, and but it doesn't have the protein.
Right.
And you need that protein, which is the big factor with rocket fuel and stuff. Ian Stepler is a big advocate of that, because the phrase you are what you eat, right? And we always say that. Charlie, look at him, popcorn. But the truth of the matter is, we talk about kids that sit on the couch and eat potato chips, right? They look like a potato chip or a French fry or whatever. And if you want your queens to be good quality queens, you have to give them good quality protein. And for years, have come up with all types of things that we can feed them in the winter to sustain them. But it's really what we're feeding them is a candy bar, something that it holds them over, but it doesn't do a lot for them nutritionally. And then all of a sudden, they're catching on to this idea. If we're putting real pollen in it, all of a sudden that real pollen, that has got some really good health benefits that you cannot, manufacture. And you see it in the queens. They respond to it. They brew it up faster. I think they just do everything so much better, and having that healthy fat body going in the winter is huge, and I think a lot of this thing with the varroa mites, when they feed on that fat body, it shrinks it up and it doesn't function well, and the queens don't do well. But the same thing can happen if you run into a drought in late fall and she's not getting that good nutrition in the fall going into winter. She doesn't have the fat body. Well, it's the same. The same's true with the worker bee, the nurse bees. Like those bees, their body is substantially different size. Their fat bodies are different size, and the worker bees too. And they need that to be able to sustain that longevity to live for months as opposed to 6 weeks in the spring. They need that, and so feeding them that kind of stuff. It's huge, Right. So I agree with that. You're 100%.
pollen is your primary protein source. So crude protein, 6 to 30% species dependent. All right. I just up here when I first started talking about this, I said greater than 20%. Your high quality proteins that are out there, or your high quality pollens that are out there, which is your primary protein source, are dandelion, willow, maple, clover, fruit trees, apple, cherry, or peach, canola, and buckwheat. So if you're putting anything else, if you're adding pollen to your pollen patties, okay, if you're putting anything but these high quality pollens in there, then you're doing a disservice to the bee, because your low quality proteins or your low quality pollens, which is 15% or less, is corn, pine, and some grasses. You need to do the research and you need to do the reading to figure out what grasses are low quality proteins or pollens. Okay?
Yeah, but we're talking about pollen patties. So what brand are we going to buy?
DC made a comment that he breaks his pollen patties down and adds protein. If you're going to add protein to a global patty, you need to do your research and figure out what's in it already. Okay. And then add the good quality pollen to it. All right. So the next part of this is the Vitellogenin loading in the nurse bees. Queens don't make this. The nurse bees make this. Okay? Low Vitellogenin, which means smaller brood food glands in the nurse bee, equals a reduced queen fertility signal. All right. Now, let's dig into it a little bit. So, what's our practice here? Late winter pollen feeding improves the queen acceptance of spring grafts and reduces the supersedure. All right. So, the insight, if you have colonies with high Vitellogenin levels, they delay the supersedure impulse. They produce larger volumes of royal jelly. And they improve on the drone quality simultaneously. Okay? See, Stuart, this is where you have to start doing your own research. Don't do what Joe Blow down the street does, because what he's doing may work for his bees, but it may not work for yours. So you need to learn to read research and do some research. All right.
Now he's saying you don't know what's in the pollen. Well,
you can have it tested.
I guess he's thinking about pesticides, I guess. I don't know. I mean, where do they get pollen at for pollen patties? Do they just buy it from the beekeepers?
Yeah, that's where they get it. But they have to test it because they're selling it on the open market. All right. So now let's go down here a little bit.
Well, in that case, and I've often asked about that, people say, well, I'm going to harvest pollen and sell the pollen. I don't think I would want to buy the pollen. You don't know what that plant's been sprayed with.
True. So here's what's in pollen patties that are on the open market. Okay. Your typical commercial pollen patty, the typical protein is 15 to 25%. So when you buy rocket fuel and it says 15 to 25%, it's not 15 to 25% pollen quality, it's protein that's in it. That's the percentage of protein that's in that patty. Common ingredients. The best is real pollen. There's typically brewer's yeast, soy flour, egg powder, and milk derivatives, casein and whey. The best practices. Look for pollen, look for patties with 20% or greater crude protein, multiple protein sources, and added lipids or sterols.
You're not going to find it. The best I've ever found is 15%.
Limitations. Soy heavy patties lack the isoleucine. Overfeeding can cause dysentery or small hive beetle pressure. So what are your thoughts, Rob?
So that thing on egg yolk, eggs. So if you know anybody that does any major weightlifting, bodybuilding for competition, they live on eggs, steak, and chicken, extremely high protein. So this thing on eggs is huge. Whenever colony collapse. I keep getting this whole deer thing, CWD, mixed up. But yeah, colony collapse disease came up. Dave Hackenberg, who is hour and a half north of where I'm at here, Pennsylvania. He was his face is all over that whole thing. He's in every movie, video, documentary that was put out on colony collapse disease. I was up and talked with Dave, and Dave went over and seen his family doctor for something that he was, routine checkup or something. He asked his doctor, he goes, if you had somebody who was dying of AIDS and you wanted to keep them alive, what could you do? And the doctor said, well, that's easy. Just feed them eggs. Let them get all the egg. And he says it's the egg yolk, not the white. It's the yolk of the egg. And he said if you can just give them egg yolk or the yolk and just live off of the egg yolk, he said I could keep them alive forever. That protein. He said anyone who has eggs, they have a deficiency in their antibodies, and therefore they're susceptible to disease, and that's why they die. He said that's what age does. It kills your immunity. And he said, and so Dave said, I started thinking about that. And he said, I thought, well, that's what's going on with these bees is, their immunity is dropping and they're become susceptible to the viruses. And it just so happened, Dave found in the very town he lives in that there was a factory that makes powdered eggs. And so Dave went out and he was buying this dehydrated powder eggs, and he was mixing that and making his own protein patties with this stuff. And he said it did amazing with his bees by feeding them this powder egg yolk because they were getting just extremely rich. Now he said it's expensive. He says, but the bees responded very well to it. Yeah. And I understand we're not the same as a bee, but like I say, but if you just wrap your mind around the whole thing of these bodybuilders that are just rippling like Bill is there, yeah, I mean you see Arnold Schwarzenegger and the prime of his days cracking a dozen eggs open, and he's putting the yolks into a glass and blending them, and he's just swallowing them, not even cooking them. Right, he's just eating the egg, and he's got this extreme body muscle mass and stuff on him, and hardly any other fat as far as the body is concerned, but these people are extremely healthy. So there's something to that. So yeah, I think having that, and again, I'm not a biologist. And I'm a nutritionist, so I don't understand all that stuff so much as far as the different things. I just trust that these people out there who are doing this are trying to produce, everyone's trying to outdo everybody else. They're trying to come up with, well, we have this, and again, they could come up, like you said, they could come up with corn pollen that absolutely does nothing for the bees.
Right.
But then they could substitute in the egg, and all of a sudden you're going to see the drastic difference in it because it's extremely high quality. But quality, you want a real steak or you want a chop steak. It costs you for quality. And so sometimes you get what you paid for, and everybody wants, beekeepers especially, they want to go cheap, 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 cheap. But I think your bees pay a price sometimes when you go cheap. And you got, if you're going to keep in a couple colonies, I think it pays dividends to buy better quality pollen patties, better quality anything that you're going to do. Your bees are going to respond to it. If you're a commercial guy and you got to buy pallet loads of this, those guys are just trying to get their bees to survive. They're killing them off anyhow, by putting them on contracts where they're getting sprayed with pesticides. They know they're not living long, and they're rotating their comb out and they're doing everything they can. It's a number game with them. Those guys aren't having queens live 1 year to the next. They're probably requeening every 2-3 times a year. So it's just different. It's a different scenario. So you got to figure out for yourself where you're at. But if you're a backyard beekeeper, you're running a dozen hives, and you're talking the difference of between a global patty or something else that's out there, and you're like, well, I don't want to spend that $5. Spend the $5, and you may see that you're not replacing your bees the next year.
Yeah.
Saved $130 or $140 by not having to buy the package because you spent the $5 and giving them better nutrition to get them through the winter. I think you're onto something, Bill.
Yeah. So here's something that very few people talk about, and it's a very rare topic that's ever brought up, is population architecture. And it's not just strong hives. Okay. The age demographics matter more than total bees in the hive. A colony of 60,000 bees can fail if demographics are wrong. The ideal spring ratio is nurse bees 0 to 10 days. You want a target of 40 to 45% of those bees in the hive. Middle-aged workers, 30 to 35%. And you want 20 to 25% of those bees to be foragers. Early brood stimulation without protein creates a forager-heavy colony. And what does that tell us when that happens? It signals queen inadequacy, and it triggers swarm preparation. This is something that's very, very, very rarely talked about. All right. So that leads us into thermal stability of the brood nest. The queen laying rate is suppressed when the brood nest fluctuates anywhere from 0 or 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit. It can fluctuate either way, 1 to 2 degrees. And what fluctuates our brood nest temperatures in the early spring? Cold snaps in March and April in the mid-Atlantic states can permanently reduce peak egg laying ceilings. Here's something else that's rarely discussed. People used to reverse boxes. It's not done anymore. Very rarely is it done. Number one, it's a lot of work. And number two, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to kill a hive. Over reversing the boxes too early kills the queen momentum, even if the brood survives. What practice do we want to start possibly doing? You want to compress the brood nest early in the fall, and you want to expand laterally, not vertically, in the spring when your nighttime temperatures are below 50 degrees. Okay? So let's go to part 2 of this. I got to find it. Lipids and sterols, not protein, is essential. Bees cannot synthesize a sterol. S-T-E-R-O-L-S. Sterols. It's required for brood development and queen ovary maintenance. All right. Sourced where you get it. Pollen. It's in some brewer's yeast and in added oils in premium patties. Okay. You also need to look at your retinue. What is retinue? Retinue is the number of nurse bees around the queen. If you have a large, quote unquote, retinue, then you're going to have a very successful queen. If your retinue around the queen is just a few bees, you're not going to have a successful queen. All right. And that all goes back to grooming, feeding, and taking care of the queen. Okay. Now, thoughts on that, Rob?
Well, you mentioned something about the balance. A lot of people don't understand that balance. That was something that I just got done reading in Tom Seeley's book. That was first seen by Linden, I think it was his last name. He was Carl Van Dorst, the guy who broke the code for the waggle dance. He had a star student that studied under him. His last name was Linden. And that guy back, I think, 1952, 53, somewhere in that ballpark, he saw some bees doing a dance, and he couldn't figure out what that dance was. And then years later, he came back and he made a comment like 30 years after that, said something about maybe he just thinks that dance doesn't mean anything. And 3 or 4 years later, Tom Seeley actually discovered that dance, and it's called the tremble dance. The tremble dance is done when you have an off balance between when they're bringing in food from a heavy flow. There has to be a balance between those that are the foragers bringing in and those that are unloading it and storing it. And he talks about that in his book, Piping Hot Bees. And when there's an offset of balance where there's more people bringing it in than more bees bringing in nectar than there are bees that are unloading it and moving it to somewhere else to store it, then these bees start doing a tremble dance. And what it does is it recruits workers and it shifts the balance. Everything in the colony works just like you were describing, Bill, in the fact that you have to have this, and it's a very fine balance between the workers, the nurse bees, certain ages, the foragers and stuff. And when that balance gets off kilter, it really does upset, the whole function of the colony. And the bees are really good at restoring that. But, once a bee, I believe, I read this here also, once it becomes a forager, it can never go backwards and become a nurse bee.
Right.
So there's a really, really fine line in all this stuff as far as, what he can do and what he can't do. And like Bill says, once you get to the point you don't have enough bees doing house cleaning, or you don't have enough bees feeding the queen, everything gets off kilter. It's almost like, you just keep in mind it functions as one whole unit. You break an arm, you're not functioning the way you did before you broke an arm or a leg. And you have to kind of somehow wrap that in your mind. And that's exactly what happens, in a beehive when that balance is off. It's like it's got a broken part. It's not functioning the way it should. They're not going to produce the honey like they should. The immunity in the hive can break down. The queen can't lay like she should. There's just so many things, they can't protect the door the way they should. Everything gets off kilter, and the hive just starts to struggle. And in some cases they can kind of reset it. But not in every case. And, so many times people think, well, they look at something and they say, well, this is what's going on. But it's a wrong diagnosis, because it could be something else. It used to be, if you looked at a shoddy brood pattern, you instantly just said, oh, that's a queen that's failing. Well, not anymore. Now you can look at a queen that's a fantastic queen with a shoddy brood pattern, and people say now you have a super hygienic queen and super hygienic colony, and they keep uncapping brood and recapping brood. So you end up with a shoddy pattern, where they say, you have a high mite count and you have this and you have. So you just can't judge a book by a cover anymore. I mean, there's just been so much research that's come out that has disproved so many of these old philosophies that, just because you see this one thing, that this is what it is. And I think that's the reason why, you ask one beekeeper a question and you come up with 6 different answers, and they could all be true based on the situation inside the colony. But yeah, that whole balance in the hive it's huge. It's huge. And I don't know that we truly even understand it, as much as we think we do. I think there's still a lot of research to be done on it. As I've been studying Tom Seeley and his work, at 22 years old, I think some of his first research was just on this thing of, can bees suffocate because on a large colony of 50,000 bees, because they have a buildup of CO2, are they able to maintain a CO2 level? And which is interesting, right? You don't have as much CO2 on a small colony that's weak as what you would on a thriving colony. And what he found is exactly what you're talking about, Bill, is because a large colony can actually move CO2 faster through the colony than a smaller one, because they don't have enough bees in there to move it. That bigger colony functions better, acts better, because they have more manpower. Even though there's more CO2, they can thermal regulate even the temperature, and it can also regulate the CO2 in a colony, versus a smaller colony in the same size box. They can't. They can get a buildup of it, and the CO2 levels fluctuate. I think he said by 4% difference. And that's just one simple thing. And again, it's all based on cavity size and the number of bees. And that's just one simple aspect of the colony. And there's probably hundreds of aspects of the colony that you could look at, and a couple of little factors, man, makes a huge difference.
Yes. So Brent made a comment just now that he's heard of foragers becoming nurse bees is like grandparents becoming parents again. Sure, they can do it, but they don't want to. So I know that in queen rearing, if your bees get a little older and you do have foragers in there, they will revert back and build queen cells. They will take care of the eggs and build a queen cell.
But they can't make royal jelly. They're unable. Right. They can't they can't
They
make
don't have the ability to make the royal jelly or as much of it. Your younger bees have to do that.
right. So,
So
so even if they can revert back a little bit and stay in the colony and try to help thermal regulate, if that queen's still out laying or outperforming what these bees really need as far as nurse bees, those bees that she's producing that's still in the larval stage, they're still not getting the nutrition they need to be healthy as they're born because
Yeah.
there's not bees to make it. So
yes. So now there's another part that goes along with this. So pheromone integrity and retinue behavior. I don't think a lot of people understand what I mean by retinue. Retinue is the nurse bees that take care of the queen.
right,
It's not a compound. It is the circle of bees that are around the queen that take care of her. So in an advanced observation, and by the way, I have all the research where all this comes from. Anybody that wants it can email me, and I will email this whole thing to you, and you can peruse it at your leisure. So the retinue size in an advanced observation, not brood pattern, but retinue size, if you have 8 to 12 attendants around that queen at any time, you should have a healthy, viable, extremely well laying queen. If you have less than 6 attendants, it should tell you that that queen is declining. She's either getting old, she's lost her ovary viability, or she's just laid out, done. Okay? So those are observations. Instead of looking at brood pattern, you should be looking at that ring of bees around that queen that are taking care of her. That's called the retinue. Okay? All right? Signs that we see, all of us see in the hives that are often misdiagnosed. Spotty brood gets blamed on genetics. It's not always true. Excess supersedure cups without eggs. They're going to build these cups regardless. So queen mandibular pheromone stability, the QMP degradation occurs when a queen is naturally stressed and the colony experiences repeated micro brood breaks. So if you're going to do a brood break to control mites, don't do it repeatedly. Do it once. And then wait a while. Then do it again.
Yeah, I mean, that goes, the theory behind that goes back to what you just said of that balance. If you're continually splitting that colony apart, you're offsetting the balance, right? Because where are the foragers going to go? They're going to come back to the main hive unless you're moving them several miles away. But then, you know, the rest of it, they don't have foragers, they don't have older bees, they mostly have young bees. So, you know, and if you just keep splitting them, I mean, that just becomes common sense.
Yeah. You can oversplit a hive. And when you oversplit, what have you done? You've created a micro brood break. The queen is stressed. She can be nutritionally stressed if she's not getting the right food. That goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. She needs the right nutrition to be healthy and a viable laying queen. So now I know I'm going to bring up something that everybody hates: mite load and queen longevity. A sublethal mite damage, queens can fail without obvious deformed wings virus. Varroa damage to nurse bees reduces brood food quality. It also alters the queen pheromone expression. So here's what the researcher said is a critical insight. A queen raised in a colony with less than 1% mites performs a lot differently than one raised at 2 to 3%, even as both pass the threshold. So the lower we keep our mites in the hives, the better your queens are going to perform. So you have the next part of that one is drone mediated queen failure. So we all know that the mites love the drones, right? You find more mites on drone brood than you find anywhere else in the hive, right? So what does a mite damaged drone produce? They have lower sperm count. They have higher sperm mortality inside the spermatheca. But how do we manage it? Mite suppression needs to occur before drone rearing, not after. So in other words, Charlie treating in the winter with his OA, I treat in the winter with the OA. So now we've started that process of mite suppression before drone rearing occurs. I also treat in the spring with Formic Pro before the flow gets going real well. So I'm extending that process into the spring. Your target drone brood cycles are 6 to 8 weeks before queen mating season. I'll say it again. Your target drone brood cycles occur 6 to 8 weeks before queen mating season. Think about it. When do we start queen mating, queen rearing? Typically end of April to middle of May, depending upon where you live on the East Coast. I can't speak to the rest of the nation, but I can get you pretty daggone close in the mid-Atlantic states. Lived here all my life. So that's 6 to 8 weeks. Count it back. April 1st. March 1st. That's 8 weeks. From May 1st.
I set up a queen counter 3-4 weeks ago for this year coming, and I can tell you based off of my calendar, weather could set it off by a couple of days, but I can tell you when my queen should be mated. I can tell you the days I'll make my graft. I'll tell you the days that I'm putting my green drone comb in for rearing my queens. And 40 days is what you're looking at. Like you say, you're talking 6 to 8 weeks. So you really need a drone has all of its semen it's ever going to have, well, while it's in its pupae state.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until it's day 12 that it migrates to its testes and it's become sexually active that it actually can mate and mate a queen. Anything less than a 12-day post-emergent drone, he'll be shooting blanks. It's at day 12, he's sexually active. His prime is 23 post-emergent. So if you take and just anywhere throw a dart on the calendar and count backwards, say from day 23 to this is the day he's going to emerge, and then count back 23 more days to this is the day that egg was laid. Give yourself another day or two for them to clean that cell and, or have the comb drawn or whatever, so that what day that egg, that queen could potentially lay that egg. So it becomes day 1. Now come back the same time and count backwards and say, okay, now I got a queen. She's going to get mated on that day. And for her, she's going to take her virgin flight, at 7 to 10 days. And you back her up, she's going to be 16 days to where she's at. And you look at the difference between those. So when you think, okay, when am I going to have enough drones in the air to be able to be quote unquote sexually mature? That's the whole thing. People always say, well, when I'm going to make a split, the weather's getting good. I'm like, no, you don't make splits based on weather. You make splits based on how old your drones are in your colony. You need to be in your colony and start seeing when they're drones, or put in green drone comb and know when that queen started laying eggs. As soon as she's laying eggs in drone comb, the bees have already recognized and started swarm season, because the only reason they're laying drones is because they're going to want to swarm coming up. They know that. And so she'll begin to lay in there, knowing out so far, that she's going to start laying in swarm cells and stuff like that. But she'll never lay in a swarm cell until she already has ample time to lay up drones and have them. In most cases, they're already going to be capped before she'll lay one egg in any swarm cell, because she wants to get ahead of that game too. The bees are smart and figuring this stuff out, smarter than most beekeepers, and figuring this out. But it's really just a mathematical equation. And so I don't know how I got off. Maybe I don't know if I answered your question or confused everybody, Bill, but it's truly a mathematical equation. But yeah, if you're gonna, if you're just gonna split and thinking you're gonna get a good split, there's more to it than that. And get a calendar and lay it out, and know exactly when you want to do a split, and know when you're going to have ample drones. And by all means, use a drone comb and stuff like that. But I know it. Okay, so yeah, so the whole thing you were talking about treatments. So if you're going to put a mite treatment on. If you put a mite treatment on, say you put on Apivar, well, if you're putting Apivar on during that 40-day period, right, and you're raising your drones, they've already proven that the Apivar is going to cause, in many cases, a low semen count on your drones. Right. So you don't have Apivar in during that 40-day window when your drones that are going to be mating your new virgins are going to be out there. So
right, because that's why she'll mate with more drones at that point than she actually really needs to, because she can tell that, and the bees can tell when you have a healthy drone with a healthy sperm count. They can tell. Don't ask me how, but they can tell. So that's why she'll mate with, instead of 15 to 20, she may mate with 30 to 35. To be able to build the sperm up in her spermatheca. But the problem is that unhealthy drone sperm doesn't last as long. It's not as viable as a healthy drone.
And some of it's dead in her. I mean, like if you had a bad drone and he's shooting a blank or whatever, or it's dead because of chemicals and stuff that he came in contact with during his during his growth cycle and stuff. He's not going to have viable semen. It's fascinating. When I was doing and studying on a lot of this stuff, it blew me away to realize, we use, I think it's 10 microliters of semen, which is a very small amount. I mean,
yeah, it's not much.
But you put that 10 microliters of semen in her, and she will dispel, I think it's like 96% of that. Only like 4% of the semen that you inject in her actually end up in her spermatheca. And that's all she needs to lay all of the eggs for her whole life while she's in there. Most of that just gets flushed back out of her system, which is fascinating to me, that you could have that many semen in that small amount, which, again, that's that whole nature taking care of itself, to realize, like Bill said, the more drones I have, the better chance I'm going to have of having good semen. You get a better diversity from the drones, plus you're ruling out the fact that you're going to have some duds in there, and then you're just 96% of the semen anyhow. I mean, it's amazing. It truly is amazing.
Exactly. So, summer queen preservation is the next part of this. And that's where most of our failures begin, is in the summer. You have heat stress and spermatical viability. When you have queens that are exposed to greater than 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees centigrade, she loses stored sperm viability. And that shows up weeks later in, bad brood. So Tom Sossman asked a question a while ago, why I use a spring treatment. Because typically the bees in the mid-Atlantic start brooding up middle of February. So anytime after that, OA is not doing me any good, because I'm not going to chase a brood cycle. It doesn't work. I know people don't want to hear it, but it's research proven that you can't chase a brood cycle and be accurate with it. So yes, I use Formic Pro in the spring to get under the cappings, and that cleans up everything that OA missed through the winter. And typically when I get my inspections done end of April, I have a 1 to a 0 mite count. So things that are rarely addressed in summer queen preservation is ventilation upgrades protect queens more than the honey. If you ventilate, yes, you're going to protect your queen because you're going to keep her under 104 degrees. But being in the mid-Atlantic states, we have a huge enemy to honey, which is humidity. So we have to balance that ventilation with rehydration of capped honey. All right. So the next thing that happens after the summer preservation is midsummer nutritional crash. The nectar flow is over. Nectar flow does not equal protein availability. The queens will often fail in August due to June protein depletion. So what practice can we pick up here. So we know what has protein in it. High quality pollen, right? And high quality pollen patties. Now, what else do we have in the summer? We have small hive beetle. So we have to combat the small hive beetle along with that. But we need to feed the protein during the dearth, not just in the spring and fall, because they need that food coming in. Now, a lot of us will feed liquid during the dearth, which is a good thing. Say what again, Hale? You need to tell me what you want me to say again. So if you feed the high quality protein during the dearth and you're also feeding a liquid, you're taking care of it. Especially if you're feeding a good protein-based liquid. Am I right, Rob?
Yeah. Yeah, I seen that this year. Bill and I talked about this at length the other day. We had yards we did not feed and didn't do much with during the drought, and those hives did horrible. Went in the winter with 3-4 frames of bees, and the last cold snap we had just pretty much did them in. And the ones we paid a lot of attention to, give pollen patties to, fed them, man, they're looking fantastic. And yeah, I'm a firm believer. And I think sometimes we overcrowd, which is, you got bees fighting for forage, and I'm probably one of the biggest culprits of that. It's not uncommon for me sometimes to have a yard when I'm in my nuke making, because I try not to spread them out so I don't have to run so far, because I'm making 10 nukes a day for about 45 days. I could have 200 colonies in one bee yard. Not all big, but still 200. That's a lot of bees. And it's in the spring, but man, they're still fighting. And the heck of it is, this yard, I got a guy right next door who just decided to start keeping bees. He went to an auction, bought truckloads of equipment. He's got like 25 colonies set up. I don't know if he's got bees in them. I met the guy one time. I don't know anything about the guy. And other than I reported him to our bee inspector and sent him over there because I knew he wasn't registered. And I said, go check that guy out. I don't want him affecting my bees because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not treating or whatever and staying on top of his bees. So I put the bee police on him. But I can tell you that yard probably has suffered more this winter because of that. There were times I went in and I looked at the brood and looked at the eggs and the larvae, and there was just nothing. It was an egg with hardly a wet spot around it. And I'd go to another yard where it wasn't overloaded with bees, and those larvae were swimming in royal jelly. And you see the difference later, right?
Yep.
It's that whole thing, when you're having a kid, they tell you don't do drugs, don't smoke, don't do this, right? Why? Your kid could come out and be deformed, and you don't take good care of yourself while you're raising your colony, while you're raising these winter bees. I think that's exactly what happens with them. Those bees are not healthy bees. They come out and they're, running up, and they have immunity deficiencies, and, you wonder why is that kid sick? Why was that kid's always out of school? He's never healthy. Well, I don't know. What did you do? Did mom take vitamins when she was pregnant? Did she smoke while she was pregnant? I think there's a lot to that, because whatever nutrition they're getting when they're young, that's going to help them in forming whatever kind of bee they're going to be when they become an adult bee, and it's generational. And, but yeah, I think so many times we get through the bee season and we're like, oh man, I let my hair down. I can rest a few days. I got all my honey extracted. that's the worst time to let your hair down, because now is the most important time at all, because if you don't focus on your bees now, you're not going to have bees next spring.
Yeah. So Hales got back to me. So I didn't say they died. I said queens often fail in August due to the June protein depletion. So what's happening what's happening in June? Our protein depletion is going down. Our protein is starting to go down because what's coming in July, especially in the mid-Atlantic states, the dearth. So we see queens failing in August. And it's not because they're bad queens. It's because there's no protein for them.
Bad beekeepers, Bill. It's not bad bees.
I understand. Yeah. I can't say that, though. You can. I can't.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, you're saying no protein. No protein. Has anybody ever told anybody to put a protein patty on in August or July? No.
No.
We don't
because these are things that aren't now you're going to get me on my education soapbox here, Charlie. These are things that aren't taught because we have no further education in the beekeeping world unless you get it on your own. You do the research, you do the reading, and you figure it out, because the bee clubs and the state organizations aren't doing anything above beginner level teaching.
I agree with Darren. I have that biggest complaint right here at home.
So I'm going to get off of that soapbox for now, because I can go the rest
I
of the
agree with
night.
Darren 100%, but it's just like the last 2 years, I guess you might say, I've been doing my research and listening to multiple places about the age of the queen and how she reduces in brood rearing after the first year, or egg laying, I mean. And now there is the recent, like you were saying earlier on about putting Aprivar. Well, I'm done with Aprivar. I think pretty much everybody else is done with Aprivar. So we're not going to have that issue. Maybe I don't use that in the springtime like the commercial guys used to do. And so as far as the drone and their semen situation, that probably will get better, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my situation where I pushed my queens in the first year, and then the second year you can tell, they're still laying. They're not laying as many frames, and they're not laying those frames corner to corner with cat brood.
Yep.
Seen that this year. So that tells me. I also know with my research through PhD out of Texas, stating after the first year, 40%, she reduces 40% laying power. Now, if this, not so much this like the high-tech science information you guys were talking about tonight, it's over my head. You need to bring it down to where the average beekeeper out there understands, like you say, back to I don't know. There's a lady we're going to bring into the club who talks about this queen thing and the age and the relationship between the queen and that strong hive. And everybody should know that the queen is the engine of the hive. That used to be 15 years ago. The going joke at the bee club was, well, if you got a problem, just blame it on the queen. It was a joke. Well, guess what? That ain't no joke. It's absolutely true in my book. The queen is the focal point of the whole hive problem.
But the thing is this, Charlie, it may not be the queen's fault.
Well, I'm looking at
beekeeper's fault.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at age and all those different things.
So,
I feed pollen patties, and people look at me. I'm a little strange at February. I'm dropping pollen patties in like last year, and I was telling you they were chowing down a pound. I mean, strong hive, a pound of pollen every week.
Yeah,
I had to come down and get another box of 40 from me to keep
so
up.
Norman McBilly made a comment here a second ago. That this is up Randy Oliver's alley. He is really smart about protein. Yes, I will give you that. But Randy Oliver did research and said raise the temperature of the hive to 104 degrees. Research, all the research that I can find is totally against it because you're killing your queen. You're doing damage to your queen. So I'll say
was that 100 for
104 because for mite management.
Yeah, it was for killing mice because they had that 10 years ago.
Yeah,
had that heat plate in there, and you put the heat plate in the bottom, and I think it had to stay in there for something like 15 or 20 minutes.
7 days. 7 days.
No, the one I remember, you had to have electricity. It stayed in there for an hour or something like that, and the damn bees were boiling out of there.
Yep.
It might have worked in theory, but it wasn't in an efficient way of doing things.
Right.
It was like even at 10 hives, it was totally inefficient.
Yes.
And now they've come back with it again with somebody else's comment, kind of rekindled the fire on that thing. And I'm like, forget it.
So I'm going to try to tie this up in a nice, neat little bow here in the next 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So genetic expression and management expression, bad queens are often poorly managed queens. So management influences gene expression. The queens and the drones take care of the genes of the hive. Pheromone output, that's all on the queen. And what do we know that controls the pheromone output of the queen? The retinue size, right? So we have to have a healthy hive to have a proper retinue size that takes care of the queen. Worker policing behavior. Okay? They kind of police themselves. You get lazy bees, you got lazy workers. So advanced beekeeping track on this would be queen lineage and colony nutritional history. That's why it's so important to take notes when you're out here feeding your bee. Whatever you do with your bees, you need to take notes so that you can refer back to those notes down the road. So if you get down the road 2 years and you say, well, this isn't working. What did I do in the past that worked? You can go back to your notes and refer to it. Colonies that consistently supersede queens are usually management limited, not genetically flawed as once was thought. Okay? So the metrics that predict success, instead of guessing at it, retinue size, it predicts queen pheromone strength. Brood pattern uniformity at peak flow. What does it mean? Summer survival. Drone brood presence. You've had queen mating success. Spring protein intake. You're going to have a queen lifespan that's going to be good, and she's going to be viable during that lifespan. You need to manage her. You need to manage her nutrition. Instead of managing the whole hive, manage the queen and the retinue. The rest will take care of itself. Your key takeaways from this whole thing tonight. Successful spring and summer queens are built not found. I think Rob will agree with that one.
Oh yeah.
They are nutritionally conditioned, protected from sublethal mite damage. They are surrounded by properly aged populations. They are thermally and pheromonally supported. Most of the failures that we blame on queen quality are actually colony environment failures. All right. So like I said earlier, if you want all of this presentation and the references that go along with it, email me at shenandoahbeesupply@gmail.com. Tell me what you want, and I will send this to you. I will email you the entire presentation and research notes of the not the notes, but the references. I'll email it to you. Be glad to, because I'm working on these things like this for presentations that I can do basically anywhere on the East Coast. I've got another one that I'm working on right now is the trap mites. I'm condensing all of the information that I have been able to find in research and condensing it down to a 1-hour presentation to be able to go out and do this. So, but it's after 10. Rob, did you enjoy it?
This is good. I mean, when I seen earlier today when you sent out the email that the topic was on the queens, like it stirred my interest right away. I was just like, okay, I set an alarm to make sure I was going to be on this call tonight, and I'm glad, and and I think you covered a lot of areas that people just don't cover. You know, you're not going to hear this kind of stuff probably at a bee club so much, and sometimes difficult. Even if you go to a conference somewhere and you have somebody from a bee lab, they struggle sometimes to bring it down to the level that the average beekeeper can understand. I don't know. There's like a communication barrier there. They understand it. They just have a hard time communicating it. I think there's information out there. It's just, it's hard. It's hard to do that. Bill mentioned, he said something about, it's our responsibility to go get the information. And I think it's true. If you would see how big my library is getting, it would shock people. Like if I took every bee book, I'm not calling like Bee Culture magazine. I'm talking actual textbooks written by real intellectual people that understand bees. And
the problem with all that is when you got a hillbilly like me and I can sit there and read all them books, I don't know what they're saying.
Oh no. Well, some, I tell you what, Charlie, I'm going to buy you a book and I'll give it to you when I come down there. The one that Tom Steele just wrote on piping hot bees. It's 20 lessons that he's learned about bees. It's written like Reader's Digest magazine. Yep. It is bottom shelf. And he just gives you some background history to what he did, where he did the research. And then he just gives you like what we found out is bees like to have a hole no bigger than this. They like to have a box about this size. They like to have the hive about this high off the ground. He doesn't build in a bunch of charts and graphs and stuff. He makes it simple to understand. And as soon as he gets that point across, the chapter's over and he starts with something brand new, bee related, and it's a truth and it's easy to understand. And I think I mentioned in there the other day or we were talking about how, he said bees can do the math, the geometry on a round cylinder. and that blew my mind. And and like I say, I think that's what's intrigued me right now with just being able to pick up the phone, call Tom, and talk to him is I could read something and I kind of understand it, and then if I want more insight, I can just go to him personally and ask him, hey, how did you do this? And he mentioned for like when he wanted to get into Harvard, he actually took 3 different species of bees that he wanted to study over in Thailand, and he created I don't know what they call them, a thing where they pin the bees down, and he basically showed them. He wanted to study the difference in these bees because this was 3 different races of bees, all honeybees. Apis carnica, Apis, I forget what the other 2 were, but anyhow, but he basically explained to them that they're different body sizes, they're different colony sizes. There's characteristics on how big of they are as far as their brood patterns and how much honey they need to survive the winter and all that kind of stuff, how they behave. And because he took just that little display with 3 different size workers and explained that to the folks at Harvard, he got chosen for an award. It's called the Golden Goose Award. But he was able to basically convey in scientific terms to people who are not scientists on this is how I want to study and what I want to study, but showed it to them in a picture form so they could grasp it. And so that's what this book does. It's drastically different. Now I could point you to some books that, I mean, it blows me away, right? And I have to go look at other books, and I'm looking up terms and on Google and trying to get a better grasp and understanding. But they're not all like that. There's some good books out there that are a lot easier to read, and I actually encouraged Tom to write a second book, because when he wanted to write this particular book, his editor said he wanted to put 40 things that he learned, and his editor said, no, that's too much, too big of a book. Choose 20. So he chose 20, and I encouraged him to take the other 20 that his editor didn't want him to put into book form and to write a sequel. So these are 20 additional things that I've learned and put it in a book form. But I promise you, Charlie, you could read this book and walk away, and you could tell me chapter by chapter what he learned and apply it to your beekeeping.
Yeah. You can talk about all this stuff, but if I can't take it back to the bee yard and use it, it ain't no good to me.
Yeah. But what I've been talking about all night long, you can take back to the bee yard and use it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just something as simple as good nutrition, right? I mean, don't always get the price tag and say, well, I want to buy this because it's cheap. You can, without doing a whole lot of homework, do like Bill said, just look at the ingredients on the label and see what is in it and compare it to the next brand and what's in that, and say, do I want a knockoff or do I want the real thing? Because my bees are going to be the ones going to pay the price. Initially, I pay the sticker price, but at the end of the day, how they perform will drastically differ on what I'm feeding them. So that's the kind of stuff that beekeepers can grasp and understand. And I'm glad you brought it, Bill. I think it is an area that people need to get up to speed on. And it's not hard. It's not really hard to understand some of the stuff. Some of it is, but not everyone's doing eye work. Not everybody's, doing all this kind of stuff. And we're not asking you to become a nutritionist, but I think most people can understand the difference between a hot dog and a steak.
Yeah. So now let's look at this realistically about what's on the market right now. Okay. You got Apis Biologics. You got Beagra, Gnarl, right? Supposedly, the Beagra stuff is the same thing as Apis. Apis is what, $42 a bag, and the Gnarl is $15, $20.
What's Gnarl? Who's making that? Who's selling that?
That's it stuff that Bob was selling from the guy up in New Jersey that sold the AP tablets.
Oh, that okay.
Yeah, that stuff. So There you go. Perfect example. The Apis is your top of the line. It's got everything in it the bees need. And the bee gnarl product or the bee agri product, it's got stuff in it, but it's not everything they need.
Not
There's
as
a
good.
lot of filler in it. So, which would you buy as a beekeeper that's
Yeah, but
pinching pennies?
Thing of it is, let's talk. You're talking about pollen. All right. You got either 4% pollen patties or you got 15% pollen patties. I've never seen anything beyond 15%.
It's out there.
All right. What brand is it then?
Hang on.
Used to be, I mean, 2 years ago, you had Cayman up there with what's the brand he's selling? You could either choose 14 or 15%. Now it's only 4% that you can choose from.
Oh, let's see.
So I'm just looking on Man Lake. So just a simple comparison. So on Man Lake, Ultra Bee, you have B Pro.
Yeah, you got the Ultra Bee patties.
Yep. And then you have B Pro Plus patties.
Yep.
Well, you got the one with rocket fuel and you got the one without it.
Yeah. And
all right. You got, what is it? 4% pollen in it?
yeah, I'm looking right here.
All right. Now, Stuart
So
says
the
NutraBee is at 21% protein.
Yep.
Now we're talking about protein, or we're talking about pollen,
Protein.
or is it
where
the
they
same?
get the protein from is from the pollen.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the protein's coming from the pollen. And some of it even has natural pollen in, but again, like Bill said, depends on the pollen source. If it's coming from corn, then it's not. Yeah.
Well, they don't tell you that.
Right. So
they say pollen, period. End of sentence. 4%, 15%. Now, what's the name saying here is
so B Pro Patties Plus, it says contains no less than 10% protein. So they got at least 10% in there, and that's on the Pro Patties Plus. Let me go back to the other stuff here.
Then you got winter patties, which I think is just more or less sugar patties, is all I can tell.
Yeah.
I've never used it. NutraBee is at a 21% protein, whoever NutraBee is, wherever that's at.
Okay, so here is Ultra Bee, high protein patty substitute, 58% crude protein.
Ultra Bee.
Yep.
That's from Man Lake.
Yep. And that's what.
And I'll tell you something. You put that on there, and the bees don't like it.
Well, I tell you what, I put it in 5-gallon buckets and sit it out, and my bees will.
You're talking about the pollen powder. I'm talking about you'll load that hive up with pollen bound big time.
Oh, here you go. They have a big chart right here. I didn't see this. So on the Ultra Bee rocket fuel, protein content 15%, natural pollen content is 5%. If you go to Ultra Bee Plus, not rocket fuel, they're still saying it's 15% protein content, 5% natural protein. If you go to Ultra Bee, it's 15% and it's 85, and now apparently that's in the patties. If you go to the dry, it's 58%, and it has 0% natural pollen. If you go to B Pro, that's 10% in the patty, 40% in the dry, and again, it has no natural pollen in it.
Right.
So
It's
where's
all
the
pollen
protein
sub.
coming from then?
So that's already broke down right on their website, all on one big chart that you can see real easy.
Yep.
So it's not natural pollen. So where are they getting the protein from?
Probably something like eggs,
Yeah. Egg
Egg.
powder.
egg dry, yeah, dehydrated egg yolks. They're going to the GNC store and buying those
Yeah.
big protein.
Yeah.
You're going to see your bees carrying a hive away one of these days.
Well, I can say I've used Ultra Bee pollen patties. I've used Ultra Bee pollen powder, which they love that. And
Yeah,
they load your frames up with pollen, and that's about all you get out of it. They don't really use it seems like to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I went away from the pollen patties and or the pollen powder. And then I've had Ultra Bee pollen patties, and either the stuff is old from Man Lake or whatever, and they're crusty, and the bees just didn't eat them very well. And then I got Global, man, they're nice and soft and easy, and they just tear them up.
Yeah.
Eat them up in a heartbeat. I'll make them way better than anything else. But
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. So here's a note here. So the difference between Ultra Bee and Ultra Bee with rocket fuel and Ultra Bee Plus, since they're both at 15% protein, both have 5% natural pollen, the only difference between the two is that the rocket fuel has Apis biologic activator in it.
Yeah.
Which you're a big fan of that, right, Bill?
Yeah. I like the Apis.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get.
Yep. So.
Well, everybody.
Thanks, Bill.
If you want to hang around a little bit, Rob, that would be
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed tonight, make sure you hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Keeps us all around here a little bit longer. Y'all have a great week. And don't forget about Joey's show on Saturday night, and Friday night is Charlie's show.
Yeah,
and
I'll be here.
See you guys later.
See you later.
Night.